Right, without further ado, first of all, just want to say thank you very, very much for hosting us and having us here.
It's a pleasure for us. We'd like to share our hospitality to everyone. Thank you for being in Mauritius.
Pleasure, and it's an absolute honor and a privilege for me to start this interview off with you. So, of course, we've heard lots and lots about SATMA, and we know why it's not working, and we've heard what the benefits are, and that's all very idealistic, but we need to face facts. It doesn't seem to be working. There doesn't seem to be an easy answer or an easy solution. So I'm going to just kick off straight away and ask you, what do you believe is the solution to this?
I believe, first of all, that everything should start from the customer. Operators, authorities are here to ensure that the customer is getting what he wants, or what they want. So I think one of our colleagues before presented the correlation between the traffic and, and the different countries where they are observing a lot of traffic. That is, people traveling, sometimes 4 times, 6 times, 7 times, more times a year. So African countries, you have first South Africa coming from there, and then you had Kenya, and then Ethiopia. But there is a fundamental question that we sometimes forget: the customer. Do they have the money to travel? In some of the countries, we are very far from that. So are we asking ourselves the real question? Putting an open sky without having people to be able to buy tickets, would that work? I think the fundamental question is propensity to travel. If you don't have the traffic, you can open the sky as big as you want, but there won't be any traffic. So the crux of the matter is really propensity to travel. If those countries would have all the facilities and have a very good wealthy middle class, then of course you will have traffic. In fact, in India, they have the same experiment, and slowly with the high GDPs, then you can see more traffic. I think the basic of the basic is growth in the country, development of the country, and basically the capability for the people to travel. And then the second question is, yes, I will travel. Where to go for what?
Business.
So business is one, but there is also leisure. So if, for example, from Mauritius, I would like to go to, I don't know, let's say Ghana. Is there anything for me to see there? So there is, we have ready to ask fundamental questions: propensity to travel, and for what I'm traveling. It can be for business, but do we have really business relation between those countries? I think first we have to develop the economic power, and then afterward the propensity to travel, and then put the air bridge to travel.
Okay, so if I'm understanding you correctly then, you're saying that those are the 2 factors that could possibly unlock SATMA.
I think everything should be around the customer and define what kind of product you're offering in the country, be it for business, be it for leisure, and then afterwards see how many people can really travel there, and then build the open sky. Basically from the micro to the macro, rather than having a macro policy pushing on the micro.
It sounds good, and what I'd also like to hear from you, referencing what your Deputy Minister of Transport, of Tourism was saying earlier, Deputy Prime Minister, thank you, I knew I was going to get that wrong, was saying was you as a landlocked, well, as an island, how important is it?
It's very important for us. This is why it is completely different from other countries, from other considerations. We are a small island development state, very much dependent on tourism. So very specific to us, we need tourism. So this is what we can offer. You can see it outside. Unfortunately, we're inside, but I'm sure outside you will have more fun. So you have sun, sand, and beaches. So this is what we can offer. Then this is the product that we are marketing, that we are trying to build. And this has been done in 1967, 1 year before the independence of the country. The visionaire at the time wanted to develop Mauritius as a touristic destination. And through that, a lot of development has succeeded, basically from textile and then now IT and financial, and we move on along that development path. So we are different because our population is 1.2. I heard Yvonne saying that there are 12 millions. Imagine we are 1.2. But around us, there is nobody. We have a lot of fishers, but fishers unfortunately don't have a passport yet. And we can't go there. So for us, our destination is very far from our core market. The core market that has been developed so far is in Europe, and now, since we have the change in terms of gravity of the economy in the world, moving towards India and China, we are also following that development by developing those markets.
And that's what I was going to be speaking to you about just now, because I believe that that the market, I actually believe that what I've heard is that it's declined slightly. And I wanted to ask you that it had any impact at all.
Decline is probably not the right word, but what we can see, the people traveling from India or from China more specific, they are going to destinations which are closer to China. Okay. So in China, because of the war trade and the exchange rate of the yuan versus dollar, there is less and less people who are willing to pay a lot. Yeah. So they do have a budget and they want to spend it within the budget, so they will travel more likely to countries which are not that far. We are 12 hours from China, and we are 6 hours from India. In India, we can see that the traffic is coming back, but it is correlated as well with frequencies. So this is what we are trying to do, is to bring more frequencies in order to get that agility in our operations, to bring more people. But there is another theme which is very, very important. Raj Bujori is an expert in it. You have to also look at what we are offering. What we offer to the European coming to Mauritius might be very different from what we have to offer to the Indians or the Chinese. So the market as well has to be ready for that type of tourists that demand. So we need to get China ready. We need to be more proactive in developing the readiness to welcome different type of tourists. Nationalities, be it from Europe, be it from Africa, be it from India or China.
Absolutely. So recently you've increased your fleet, and you've got a new lovely Airbus A330neo, and I believe that there's a few more deliveries that might be coming in the near future. So could you just tell us briefly, how are you going to maximize these assets?
Okay, already those long-haul aircraft operating to Europe and to Asia, which is 12 hours from Mauritius, except from India and South Africa, we do have very high utilization of our fleet. So, those aircraft, when they leave Mauritius or coming from Europe to Mauritius, they are dispatched to South Africa. So these are the trunk routes where we are putting the A350s, and then afterward we have the A330neo, which is more versatile, a bit more agile, so slightly smaller. So we operate it to market like London, and we are operating it as well in Asia, to India and to China. So yes, the plan is to get more newer aircraft. We are refleeting. So basically we are phasing out our A340s and replacing them by A350s. But now there is a second step to come, whereas we have to look a little bit more closer to our regional operations, whereas probably to look at smaller modules, be it the Embraer, the Bombardier, the Airbus A320neos, or the other 737s.
Okay. Can you just elaborate a little bit more on any kind of regional partnerships that you might be exploring?
Today we do have co-chairs with some of our friends in Africa. So we have co-chair with Kenyan Airways. We have also a very extensive one with South African Airways. We would like to develop one with one there. So we have to work out on the traffic patterns, what kind of network we can offer to the customer that will make sense for them and will make sense for the operators to put that operations in place. We are also having a very good cooperations with Air Madagascar and Air Seychelles through we are trying to build a network of the Indian Ocean operators and then provide them with provide the customer with different type of packages where they can use the 2 destination or 3 destination types of package, whereas they can go to Seychelles, take the aircraft, come to Mauritius and leave from Mauritius back to Europe or back to Asia.
Very nice, very, very nice. Okay, so I'm going to move on now and just change the context. And I'm going to say that we're in the midst of a digital revolution. And how important do you believe this is as CEO of an airline? And do you have any surprises?
I think digital, the world where we are living is digital already, and aviation has been always one step ahead in terms of technology. So we have been working with that since long. Now bringing it to the customer is the other challenge. So we are in a world of data, so we have to find ways how to better work with those data. So when I came in 2017, we put in place a specific department, customer analytics, which is part of Donald Payen's department. We want to know more about our customer and use those information to better serve them. And this is one part. Second part is in terms of technology. We can use technology to have leaner processes and to make a lot of savings for that. So these are the ways that we are looking at it. Basically, one for the customer, to know more our customer, to be closer to them, and secondly, how to make it leaner, our operations leaner, therefore being able to be more agile and flexible in terms of changes, in terms of tactics and strategies.
Absolutely. Okay, and then lastly, you took over the reins in 2017, and I'm really looking for some professional insight here. Can you just tell us a little bit about your new style of leadership and the direction that you're taking going forward?
So, we are operating under a specific model, whereas I just explained, from Europe and how we are changing and trying to adapt as well with the market. I think looking forward, we really need to change our model because we are very much dependent on some market. This is one. Secondly, probably in the past, we didn't have the possibility to tackle the regional market in a proper way. So I think looking forward, we need to review our business model. The business model will have to be more agile. This is one. Secondly is technology. This is one point that you just underlined, that we need to bring more technology in order to work differently in a leaner way. Why? Because we are very far from everywhere. We have a lot of costs which are very heavy, as we just explained, for African operators, and we have to review all this. So basically, in a few words, there is a lot to do, and there is more to come. So we have to fix really the way we want to evolve in the future. That is our economic model, how we want to operate, a business model, and then afterward, from that point, do the transformation required in order to get to the next step. And Mauritius has 50 years, but we have to prepare the company for the next 50 years.
And you, as the leader, though, where would you be taking it?
What do you mean?
Your direction.
The direction right now is, for me, we have 3 priorities. First is the people. We really have to work out trainings in order to give them all the required tools and technology to do a better work. This is one. Secondly is really our customer. So to get very much closer to customer and to really give them what are required. Basically, the nicest product, but at a very good and competitive price. And the third one is expansion. We need to expand because in aviation, if you don't expand, you tend to disappear.
Absolutely. Okay, well that brings me to the end of the interview, and so thank you very, very much for those lovely, insightful answers, and leave it up to my moderator to take over.